Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we'll be talking about the WireMock and its Docker configurations. All right. So to give you an example, generally we have the situation like in the microservice environment. Let's say we are building two services. Let's say service A and the service B, and there are some cases like when service A wants to hit service B, but let's say there are some APIs which are not even built yet in service B, which are required by service A. And let's say these are implemented by two teams, let's say team one, and then this is getting built by team two. So when there are some dependencies on other APIs, which team one is, let's say, implementing, so in those cases, generally we go with the options of doing some hard coded ways and just reading some JSON files in our code base, and which require some extra code which is never needed in the production or like until the a good time. So we had to come back, and once the microservice B, let's say, is implemented, then we have to come back here and make a lot of changes again and do a lot of testing again, right? So to avoid such situation, what we can do is instead of rewriting the whole code and limiting into as simple as that, just updating the URL of the microservice B's API, we can utilize this WireMock thing. And what WireMock does is like it spins up an image in the Docker, which we are going to talk about today, and then we have the control over the request and the response that we want to utilize. So I'll be talking more about it when going through the code. So this is a little bit about WireMock. So just to give you guys a little bit more background on that, I was reading about this WireMock recently, and I could not find good data online where we talk about like how to spin up this Docker and how to utilize it using the Docker. So which is my main intention today, to share the information with you guys. So, cutting short, now going into the code thing that is required for this WireMock. So, for now, like I've created this WireMock sample application and a sample folder, I would say, and just a couple of configurations that are needed for this. So, this is the YAML file which will help us to spin up the WireMock image, imitating a, a fake microservice, we can say, which is not the actual service that you want to hit, but will help us do our code for now. So this is the configuration part, and this my mapping folder is the one where we define our request URLs and the responses that we expect corresponding to those URLs. So those responses lies actually in the files here in the format of JSON. So that is what the structure of this WireMock application looks like. Let me show you these two files actually. So there is nothing special here in this Docker compose file. We are just mentioning about the WireMock's configuration here, which are actually defined in the WireMock file, but here we are just saying that 8082 is going to be the exposed port. And so for that reason, we have defined it here like the WireMock image name that is provided on the WireMock's website also. And this is if you want to copy your files and mapping folder inside the homes of WireMock. If you want, you can do that. But for this example that I'm going to show you today, it's not actually required. And then we have this port exposed here, 8082. So we can also utilize that. So this is all that we need as configuration for the Docker. And regarding the URL mappings, so, so this is how we define. This is the structure of like WireMock's file that it reads, and it accepts the request format in this. Like you define the method, like HTTP methods, and the URL for which you expect some response, and the response is configured in this way. And you can also define the status code that you expect for this API call. So that is for this request thing. And let's quickly take a look at how we are going to find the response. So this is how we just define the response in a very simple JSON format. Nothing special about it. So you have seen the request file, the response file, the configuration file for the WireMock for in the Docker format. So that is all. Let's try to see like how it works. So for now, I just simply went into this folder. I had already spinned up the server, this Docker image, And once we see this logo, that means like our WireMock image is ready to be utilized. All right, so that's all that we have to do, as simple as that. And then we can directly go to the Postman or any other client that you want to use and can try to hit the APIs. So since we had exposed 8082 port number, so that is what I'm going to use. And this is the next URL which we defined in our mapping file. So, and we should expect some response as soon as we hit this send button. Let's see. All right, so first of all, we see the response is 200, and let's see the body of it. And I have the response which I defined in the files folder for that particular request. So see like how easily we can configure this WireMock, and we can code in microservice A according to this URL, and once the actual service is available, we just have to just as simple as like just updating this URL in our microservice A, and we are good to go. All right, guys. So that is all I wanted to share with you. Thank you for spending some time on this video. Have a nice day. Bye bye.